From Erie's own Government Access, Channel 9, from the City Hall Council Chambers, it's time once again for the Taxpayers Hotline Show. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host.
Well, here we go. It's City Councilman Kaz Kwiatkowski, and looks like I'm here alone today, probably because of Christmas. We'll see what we can do. Hopefully, you'll keep the show live because I have no topics. This was not a good week. Everybody's been under the weather around town, including me, so I didn't get much accomplished this week. Then it wasn't the greatest Christmas, but it could have been, worse. So if the number's there, if you'd like to call. The only rules: keep the topics in good taste, good order. Try not to get personal, and you can talk about any subject you want. And like I said, I really have nothing to talk about. We'll see how far the show goes. I think I'm okay. It's been, like I said, it's been a rough week for everybody. I had a gentleman call me off the air, and he was talking about his street on Pennsylvania. I did take a ride by there, and I did turn it in for him. That's between 31st and 32nd, and we'll see if we can, hopefully, I don't know what's going to happen this year with the road situation, but we'll see if we can have it added to the work list. And another gentleman called me off the air, and he was asking me about the billing on the sewer and water, and he got his, and I think he said his was spaced a week apart. Now, I didn't check mine, and I planned on coming in a little early today, and I didn't make it, but I'll check on that for him, and I got his number, and I'll get back to him about, hopefully I'll check and see what we intended and what's actually going on. And checking some of my notes from last week. I wasn't able to find out anything about, like I said, it was a kind of a slow week for me, so I didn't find out anything about the building behind Tim Hortons. I'll try to find out for that gentleman. And I meant to ask about the plows, and it's completely slipped my mind about why we supposedly don't use the wings. I believe we do use them, but I think we probably don't use them as much as people think we do. I think I saw them using them the other day on the early snowstorm on East 38th Street, and another question I didn't get answered. I will get these answered this week. Like I said, I was under the weather. How much are the state taxes on fuel? And we seem to still be in that mode where fuel prices are going down, which is always good for all of us. And I happened to attend earlier in the week the Airport Authority meeting, and it was a real pleasure. I hadn't been there for a while, and I'll hold that thought and go to our first caller. Go ahead, caller.
You look like you're down on the weather.
Oh man, it hasn't been good. My grandkids came up and
you got everything they had.
Well, yeah, they got it, and I think it's like it's amazing. My mother had it, and why did you get it, John?
No, I feel like $1 million, especially after last night's win.
Which win was that?
Steelers.
Wait a minute, now you're a Giant fan, John.
I'm a Steeler. I like Detroit.
You're getting to be a winner picker, I think.
I'm not a winner picker, but the whole shot.
You're supposed to be a Giant fan.
I am.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't be.
But Giant Blue all year.
You can't be all over that board, then.
For sure I can. Why can't I?
Oh, John, I bet your closet's loaded with hats.
Well, you got how many teams?
How many hats you got in your closet, John?
Probably about 300.
I'm thinking that.
I've collecting hats for the last 25 years. And they're all brand new, and I never bought a one.
I bet you got a B one in there, too, don't you?
Yep, I got one when they first came out way back when. And I'll tell you where I got it. International had a package.
Yeah.
and you sent in, and you got 5 pro hats.
And you got Brooklyn?
The Browns.
Oh, I meant, when I said B, I thought you had a Brooklyn Dodger.
No, the Browns. I got the Browns, Detroit, Pittsburgh, and the Rams, and there was another one. But like I say, I haven't bought a hat in 25 years or 30 years.
Yeah, I have a bunch of hats. My wife is trying to she's begging me to get rid of a lot of them.
My wife tried to get rid of them when I was out of town on trouble. I came home and she had a plank on the front yard, hats for sale cheap.
My mother tried to get rid of my baseball cards until I sold a couple. Then she started looking for them.
Yeah.
Tried to find where I was hiding them.
My choice ones.
She tried to find where I hid them in the house.
You found them up in the attic, right?
Well, they were hid down in the rafters, like.
My mother gave all mine away, and I had the good ones.
Someday, John, when if you come over my house, my son cataloged all mine. I'll show them to you. Mm-hmm. Roy Campanella, Willie Mays.
Yeah, I got Mickey Mantle. I got Billy Martin. I got Moose Gower and Enos Slaughter. Joe D. I got a bunch yet.
You ain't got Celerino Sanchez, though, do you?
No, who's he?
Yeah, when you see Paul Faust, ask him.
Oh, yeah? I got Keltner, Johnny, who played for Cleveland?
Kenny Keltner.
I got his, and I got darts on that one.
Darts?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he broke up Joe D's thing, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think the pitcher had something to do with it, too, though.
I don't think so. Keltner played a great game. But the whole thing about it, Joe D went on and hit for another 17 straight games after that.
That's probably the most amazing thing.
And you know what? His weren't all cheap singles either.
That and, let's see, Ted Williams' 400, those are going to be tough ones.
Yeah.
Or Johnny Vandermeer's 2 no-hitters.
Yes. I've got Roger Clemens' rookie card.
My claim to fame is I had Pete Rose.
I got Pete Rose.
Carl Yastrzemski.
Yeah, I got the ads in his T-shirt.
And Jimmy Brown.
Jimmy Brown, I don't have any of his.
Yeah, I had his first football card.
Oh, yeah?
So how you doing over outside? Well, when are you going to come on the show? We keep having people asking us.
I'm sitting here thinking about how the mayor went out and bought a brand new truck, and he didn't even know how much money he was going to get from Liquid Fuels.
He bought a brand new truck.
Yeah, brand new snowplow. $150,000.
Well, we give him money every year from our water reserve account.
Well, this was supposed to be from Liquid Fuels.
Well, he's allowed to do that. Liquid Fuels is, it has to be for, related to road. We pay, we pay lights with it too.
How much of that money goes into the general fund?
Liquid Fuels actually goes into, has to be separately accounted for. It's a separate account.
You know how much you got in Liquid Fuels this year?
I can look, but it's not. I don't have access like I used to when I was controller, but I could find out.
I can tell you how much you got this year.
You're looking at the budget.
No, I'm looking at what you received from Liquid Fuels.
Oh, when they announce that one?
$2.3 million.
Mm-hmm.
There was a big article in the paper.
Yeah, I don't get the paper, unfortunately.
It's supposed to be for the new truck he bought and for salt. You should have your salt purchased the year before.
We do buy it through the COG. So, I mean, what the newspaper don't tell you all the time is a lot of those contracts are already done, John.
I understand that.
Yeah, we negotiate far ahead of time on a lot of that stuff. Like fuel, everybody was asking about, are we benefiting from the fuel? Not really, because we already bought ours before, and it's tied into, I'm trying to think of the...
You purchase it 6 months in advance.
Yeah, but we also got it tied into, there's a formula.
Yeah, there's a COG, all the various...
Yeah, and I can't remember what they call that number. It's a rotating number that when we buy our fuel, it's subject to the whims of the market. With give or take within a few percentage points.
You used to do the same thing up at the utility.
Oh, you have to.
We purchase it a year in advance, locked in at whatever the price was.
Yep.
But, I looked at that and said, geez, the mayor went out and he floated a bond for $8 million to repair the roads. The roads are still in a disastrous shape.
No doubt about it. And I said this, John. We do not have a long-range plan right now to address the roads. And no matter how you look at it, it's going to cost money, no matter how we do it.
That's true. I was taking a ride on the west side this morning out over East 38th Street, which is a state highway.
Mm-hmm.
It is brutal in some sections. You knock bust a rim, knock your vehicle out of alignment.
Where's that on? What street, John?
38th Street, and that's a state highway.
On the west side, you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, the state, everybody's cutting back. The state, the feds. The problem is, you seen what happened in Minnesota when that bridge collapsed, right? You remember that, John, in Minneapolis?
They got that fixed in a hurry, didn't they?
Well, they had to. That was a major artery, but...
Oh, yes.
But think about why we were in that situation to begin with.
True.
My friend, the engineer, John and I, we talk all the time, and he's right. If you take a ride along the interstates, look up at some of those high-rise bridges like...
oh, yes.
The ones they just fixed in eastern Erie County.
It's all deteriorating because of the road salt.
Right, but I mean, we keep, when you look at like Franklin Avenue Bridge and stuff, they're getting old,
Sure they are.
And we're not spending money on infrastructure. You can blame it on the war, you can blame it on other things, but when you don't take care of the roads and the infrastructure, it's going to come back to... I mean, look at our roads, John. They were all done, I think...
Stir the sauce.
When was our roads done? Under Joyce Savacchio?
The roads done under Joyce Savacchio.
Wasn't that when they did all the... when they took the tar and chip roads and changed them, right?
It could have been.
Yeah, but, like my road, it started to deteriorate, and... is it okay right now? Yes, sort of. It'll take...
You know why it's deteriorating? Because of traffic and because of salt.
Right, and in fact that, we really didn't lay anything underneath it either.
Well, I'll tell you what, the way they put them roads in when they resurfaced them, they didn't have a good base.
No, that's what I'm saying. All they did was lay... You know what? It was
about a half inch of top on it, rough, and then a shallower inch of smooth, and that was it.
Right. Well, if I remember when I first moved up there, they never really what they call regraded them.
Oh.
They always ran out of time, so.
Well, they don't know what grade to put in.
No, but I mean, when they regraded them, when they tried to smooth them out, they never finished the whole east side. Remember?
All they did was rake it real quick, and then went across. And back then, you were allowed to use oil. They oiled it. And then they came in with the pack and then rolled it a little
bit.
Right,
mine never got done because they always started from the far east.
Yeah.
And mine never got. So when I came home one day out of vacation, and I saw that they had tarred, what do you call it, repaved it.
Well,
with that was a great, for a long time now it's been great. But when you drive around the city, somewhere along the line we are going to have to. And it's going to cost money. People, make no bones about it. You got to come up with a plan long range to otherwise you're going to have major problems.
That's true.
So, I mean, you can put it off as long as you want, but I never like to lie to people, and I tell them, I said, I've been asking people, would you be in favor of a small millage increase that was dedicated just to roads,
It makes sense.
Just do it for that. Don't touch nothing. It doesn't go anywhere else but roads. And, if you do that, and you show people you're doing it.
Come right out in front and ask about it. Don't sneak in the back door.
No, I've been asking people, like wherever I go and people tell me about, the tax increase, and I say, well, look, how would you feel about a millage increase dedicated to specific things like, public safety or, really, in effect, we need like you say, John, our roads need to be addressed.
Well, that tax increase should have came in years ago, like I kept yelling and telling you.
Yeah, well, council...
You're a $250,000 there, you stay on top of everything.
Well, I tell you what, some members of council, John, are dating, they said it publicly, so it's not like we're talking behind the back. some of us are talking about, we would like to have a real look, instead of, doing the politically correct thing, which is, wait every couple of years and then raise it.
I mean, after you're lame duck, you don't go ahead and raise the taxes.
No, I'm in favor, really, John, about looking at it every year and being honest about it, because you know what? I have faith in people. You know yourself, John, you look at your utilities, they've gone up, right?
True. Everything's gone up.
And if people think that, we have contracted, negotiated wages and things that are out of our immediate control,
Everything's gone up like crazy, so is the nonprofits.
Well, yeah, and that's a whole issue there. And I brought it up the other day. Once again, I would like to see us go after either the college students or the colleges and start telling them, hey, you know what? Let's challenge them and find out, if they are truly tax exempt everywhere.
Gannon down there, they got commissaries. They're probably selling food. You got merchants.
Right. And you know what?
You're making profits.
Some towns are charging the college kids, a small fee for living in the city.
That's true.
And we had a mayor that tried it, and council didn't like the idea. And I'm thinking,
council doesn't like anything.
Well, I'm in favor of fees that, we are supposed to be a tourist town, correct?
True.
And I'm not saying you want to kick tourists out, but when I go out of town, I pay taxes on rooms and beer and everything.
You pay taxes on when you're sleeping.
Right. I mean, now we technically can't collect that room tax because that's a county thing, but we should be yelling at the county as the largest city, and as 40, I think we're about, we're probably 40-some% of the county almost.
Every bit of it.
We should be arguing with them about where's our share of the casino money,
That's true.
And from now on, maybe we shouldn't be signing papers and helping everybody out until they start helping us a little bit. I don't want to be negative, but but we're in trouble. I mean, our town, we do not have people moving in here like mad. We don't have businesses moving in here like mad.
No.
So we have to start.
Got businesses moving to the outskirts.
Yeah, we have to start thinking about our taxpayers who are, when what they forget is when we give money years ago to the zoo or the civic center, and then the county gives money, we're giving twice actually.
That's true.
We're the only municipality that seems to give twice on everything.
I was looking at an article of all the different amounts of people coming down to the convention center.
Right.
Are we still getting an amusement tax from them?
Yes, we are, 3%.
3%.
And there was,
No ticket, right?
It's supposed to be on the ticket, yes.
And what if they say, come on in and no charge, and then you buy while you're in there? They beat that, don't they?
You mean if they get a free admission?
Yes.
Well, yeah. It's also, I think there was a ceiling price for a while. Like if the ticket was under, I can't remember what the exact price was, like $5 or $6.
It had to be under $5, I believe.
Yeah, and Gannon was keeping the basketball tickets under that.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe they were that.
Sure, they all do that.
Yeah, but they finally got smart, and raised it.
Just like the convention center, or now it's Erie Insurance. You could purchase tickets on Ticketron, but you paid 50 cents then. That's all right.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the city is taking care of them.
But, that's why there was arguments. But I don't think, when I pay $20 or $60 for a ticket, like the other day I went to the Cavaliers game in Cleveland with my son.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much I paid Cleveland. And you know what? I really don't care. Because all I did was I looked at, my son and I looked at the price of the ticket.
Paying for the admission.
Yeah, and that's all I'm worried about. I don't care who gets a cut of it.
Paid about $100 for 2 seats.
Well, but do you care, when you go to a thing, do you care, John, who gets the cut of it, really?
No.
But we had places in town here that were putting down in there, 3% of our...
No, so they didn't have to pay the tax to the city.
Yes, and some of them were saying, well, we pay 3% of this to the city, like they want to embarrass us.
Yeah, right.
But everybody forgets that, we funded the Civic Center for years. When they had shortfalls, we gave money to all kinds of organizations.
Well, how would the people like to be parking in Pittsburgh now? I think next week coming into effect, it's $2 an hour.
Probably, yeah. And you know what? I'll tell you, I'll give people a shocker. What do you think it costs us, John, to park at the Cavaliers game?
Probably $25.
Well, I wish I could, John, because when we got there a little late,
you had to get a different lot.
Yeah, we had to get closer.
We paid $50.
35. So yeah, if you can find one for 25. $20, $25 now that the Cavs are selling out every game.
Most of these events have a parking ticket you can buy.
Yeah.
When you buy your ticket?
Some do. The Indians offer that,
Yeah.
But you know what, John? My point is that you really don't have any control over. So, like, we should be looking at things like a beer tax or,
Yeah.
Because if we're really a tourist town, let's take advantage of it,
Well, that's true.
I mean, people, it's not like you're milking them, but, God, I go out of town, and it's not unusual to, when you pay your room tax or your cab fares, and
you don't even look at it. You pay your bill, and that's it.
you land at the airport, and the airport gets a cut of the taxi fees,
Yeah, you might sit down and look at your bill once you get home and say, gee, what was this, what was that? And you look, there's all kinds of little taxes in there for various things.
But the bottom line is you look at the price of the room or something, you say, can I afford it or can't I?
That's right, it's right into it.
Yeah, do I want to go that bad or don't I,
You're really not going to care about it. Like Erie, up this way now, what is it, 7% for room tax?
Probably, I think, yeah.
You don't look at that. What's 7% of $100?
It's 6 or 7. I don't remember what it is,
But who takes all the money? You got your hotelers all around here. They're renting their rooms. They're paying that tax, and it's not even benefiting them.
No, it's benefiting the other hotel that's working against them.
Pension center, and they don't want to do anything.
And they got 2 hotels competing against them.
Right, and they're building another one. So, Dad, have you ever considered leasing equipment? Like when I was working up the utility, we leased everything.
Oh, you mean like our heavy equipment?
Yes. I think there was like a 10-year lease, and we maintained it up to then. Then when it got costing more money, we traded it in.
No, I never did, John, but hey, that's interesting because when we meet after the first of the year, Council, I will bring that up, okay?
Sure. The trouble is we own the leasing company.
Yeah.
And we probably leased, I want to bet, to say almost 2,000 or 3,000 pieces of equipment. And now we're all over. We're in Ohio, we're in New York, the whole state of Pennsylvania almost.
Well, that's not, I'm going to bring that up because I don't think it's ever really been discussed.
Our equipment runs anywhere from 150 to who knows how much.
But I think that might be a good idea, John, about leasing, just see if it's worth it,
Well, sure, then you'll have the equipment, you maintain it, and you write it off, and you don't have to own it. But I'll get off and let somebody else yak it.
Okay, and if nobody comes on, if it's a dead show, give me a call back then.
You were looking for the Pennsylvania taxes for gasoline?
Yeah.
Well, starting January 1, our gas fuel is going to go up 9 cents a gallon more because Corbett had that initiative for 15% or 15 cents over the next 2 years, and 1 year was this year, then 9 more cents come into effect January 1st, but we're at about 42 cents a gallon.
Oh, that explains why we're big difference in...
state tax.
Yeah.
The gas. We'll be number 2 now. California's number 1.
Wow.
Okay, I'll get off and let somebody else yak.
Okay, call back if nobody calls. Wow, there you go. If John is right, and he usually is, 42 cents a gallon, that explains why people have been wondered why the great disparity, between states. I noticed when I was traveling, you could see a difference even in Ohio. Just amazing. 20 miles over the border and a big difference. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, I heard you guys talking about paving streets.
Well, we were talking about how there's really no long-range plan of it,
Well, what I was wondering is, do you have a list of the streets that are paved from year to year? I swear there's a couple of streets that I see getting graded and paved every year.
Yeah, you can. I'm sure I can get you. How far back you want to go?
Well, I would think we should check that 5 or 8 years at least just to see, because I swear that there doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason. A couple of the streets that obviously are the ones that get used heavily are going to be paved more often, but I'm seeing a couple of streets that seem to get paved every year or every other year, and they don't even look like they need it. And I'm wondering, what the logic is behind their paving structures. You look at some of the roads in town; they're horrendous.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's supposed to be. They try to look at the, like you said, if it's a key road, heavily used, you try to get those done, and then they're trying to get to the what they call the secondary roads, as they are determined to be bad. But I agree with you. Maybe we should go back and check just to see if there's any kind of, if there. I don't think there's any favoritism. I would hope not. But
walk out the building and walk around the park right down there. Mm-hmm. I would think that would be getting paved a little bit more frequently than it does.
You mean the North Park Road and all that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they did do it a little while ago too.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Obviously, if we have a problem with the underlayments, then maybe we should start scheduling a complete overhaul on some of these streets.
Well, what I suggested, I've been asking people their opinion. And I do plan on bringing it up publicly. How would you feel if we had a plan where it would entail like a small millage of tax dedicated strictly to roads every year?
Well, I got to tell you, dedicating funds for a specific purpose sounds good.
Yeah.
But what's City Council doing now? What are the engineers doing now? Aren't they supposed to be allocating funds based on need?
Yeah, but we don't. What I mean by a dedicated millage is, if you we did this when I was on the school board, like when we wanted to buy computers, and for about a 3-year period or so, every time we raised taxes, there was like a specific amount of money or millage that could only be used for that purpose. It didn't go into the general budget. It went into that account like. So in other words, I'm saying, much like you do with capital improvements, you would have a dedicated millage, and it would just go strictly to roads every year, that amount of money.
I understand your point, but
yeah.
I'd like to suggest to you that doing something like that simply points the finger at the people in charge of the budget, that they can't be trusted to make the best judgments.
Well, I'm saying that when we put money in there for roads, now, but we don't have a long range plan. That's what I think we're lacking. If you drive around the city, it's pretty apparent that, and it's all around the country. It's not just Erie. Our roads and bridges are deteriorating.
Well, I would suggest to you that we're paying engineers and professionals that are supposed to know what they're doing to make those long-range plans. And if they're not, maybe we need to start hiring people that can do the job better.
You may have a point there, because, I'm hearing a lot of complaints from people, and I really can't disagree with them. When you ride around town, you're seeing a lot of roads that are being, they may not be major roads, but they're certainly, rough, and they need repair,
Well, all you have to do is go to other communities with the same sort of weather, and size and budget, and look at their roads. And in general, I would suggest to you that most of them are better, which makes me wonder what we're doing wrong.
I know one of our problems, they always said, like, I go up to Minnesota a lot, and the advantage there is they don't get to thaw and freeze like we do. But knowing, like what you said, if we can find summer communities that have the thaw and freeze cycle like we do, that, I would agree with you. We need to find out, are they doing something that we're not,
Well, if the roads weren't properly put down originally, obviously you can't blame the current administrations for those sorts of things.
No, I'll give you a prime example. Above 38th Street on the east side, all those roads were tar and chip. They were never done. All they were dirt roads when I moved up there. And, that was a mistake. Years ago, they should have done them right. but they're not. And now we got reclaimed roads they're going to break up in a few years.
A few weeks back, we had a water line break on State Street.
Right, I remember that.
Some damage. The question became, why did it take them so long to shut it off? Now, I got two stories. The one story was they couldn't find the shutoff.
Mm-hmm.
Other story was the shutoff was basically seized up, and it took them a long time to get it to function properly. Either way, that tells me inadequate maintenance, and nobody, obviously, you can only do what you can, but if we're chasing damage for it to break instead of doing the maintenance up front, long term, we're wasting an awful lot of money, and I would suggest the people in charge aren't very good at their jobs.
Well, I wonder what they're doing up. I read today, on the news today, there was an article about Mill Creek. Did you see it?
No, I haven't seen that.
They're planning on shutting the water down in the Schultz, Arbuckle area, up there probably around Penelec.
Okay.
And, for maintenance. If that's what they're up to, I like that idea because I agree with you. Like, it's better to shut down my street for a period of a couple days or a day and fix it,
I realize it's a difficult situation.
Right, it is.
We're playing catch-up. But at some point, people need to be adults and say, okay, well, we need to set, like you said, a long-term plan and start doing proper maintenance. Maybe that, won't pay for itself for 20 or 30 years. I think one of the problems is we have elected officials that are trying to skate by and pass the buck and wait till it's somebody else's problem.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not politically a good idea for me to say I want to raise taxes or something, but I think looking at the roads, if we have to come up with a plan that costs us money, and we start planning ahead of time, I think we got to. I mean, we can't wait till things break down, and we're always reacting and trying to, because I think everybody who rides around town realizes our infrastructure and and it's time for the state government, the federal government too, to realize that.
A couple of years ago, we had a mayor patting himself on the back, talking about how he didn't have to raise taxes. Well, maybe if he'd have got together and they'd have raised taxes a mill, maybe they could have fixed some of these problems before they became bigger.
Well, some members of council right now are looking at the fact that maybe we should be not afraid to look at every year, like maybe it's not bad to raise taxes a little bit every year, or maybe you don't have to, but it's not bad to consider it,
I've heard older people, substantially older than myself anyways, a very common phrase years ago was a stitch in time.
Right.
Okay, well, apparently that's out the window.
Yeah, it is, and I think people are afraid to. I always said this. I mean, those of us who own houses, and no matter what you do in life, you know that things are going up, and to think that every 4 or 6 years, we look at these huge tax increases instead of attacking the problem as we go. Like roads are ripping up every year, and so is our infrastructure. And it's time that, it's really time that we start looking at them and start putting them off to the side.
Well, I would like to suggest to you that the individuals actually doing the labor for the city,
right?
Okay, out there, I think they do a pretty darn good job. And maybe you should invite them into council meetings and ask their opinions on how to do things better. Because I think maybe the guys in the street have a much better idea of how to do it than the guy sitting behind the desk.
Well, I agree with you. I've always felt that, the first thing they taught us when I was in the Army was that you always take advice from the guys that do the work below you, but you make the decision.
Right.
But it's never bad. I mean, even when I was on the school board, I used to love asking teachers things because, people make policy. Boards make policy, politicians make policy, bosses make policy. But the workers, you're right, it's the actual workers that have to make the thing work. And, a lot of them come up with ideas like, why are we doing things this way? If we did things this way, we could do twice as amount of work,
Well, you get a list of those roads, and I'd say go back at least 6 years, maybe 10, and see if there isn't some situation where a road's getting paved more often. Maybe that's a suggestion that road needs to be looked at seriously if it actually needed to be paved.
Well, I put it down here. I'm going to go back and see if I can find at least 5 to 8 years of the paving. I know they used to put them on the internet. We'll see if we can dig it up.
All right, you have a nice afternoon now.
Hey, thank you for your suggestions. I like that. And I'm going to bring some of them up, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you very much. Have a good holiday.
You too. Bye-bye.
And yeah, that's what I like. When people have ideas and suggestions, because, there's no one way of doing anything. And like John, leasing of equipment, it's something that, it's pretty obvious, but you don't think about it. This gentleman here I've always said, asking the employees is not a bad idea because they do the work every day. They know exactly, what it takes to do the work. So if there's a better way of doing it, why don't we? But, looking at our long-range problems, they're not going to go away. And they cost money. And maybe, it's time we got to be honest with the public and tell them that it's going to cost a little money to fix the roads. But, is that something we want to, face? I think you have to in this world. You just can't. For too long, I think, even on a national level, we've let our bridges, our roads deteriorate. And now we're up against the wall, much like we faced with McBride Viaduct, and we'll probably face it with Franklin Avenue in the future. And, other bridges, as you see them rebuild them on I-90, they've been allowed to deteriorate. Quickly getting back to the airport, I attended that meeting, and it was a pretty good session. I hadn't been to one in a while. That's not on my list of committees, but I am an alternate, so I decided to take a ride over there. And the airport's done amazing things, and I've been trying to get Mr. Rogers on here to talk about some of their plans and to explain to the public a lot of the misunderstanding about why we did the long runway and, what's the benefits and what happened. But from what I understand, there hasn't been that many delays caused by us. With the long runway now, a lot of the delays are caused because other airports are either being sacked in by weather or they can't accept the flights, and so they can't, they can't send them into Erie. Flights are backed up, and it's a real mess. But listen to the board; they have long-range plans about added service, and they're well aware of the markets. I think that Erie people would like to see, much like. They've added Chicago now to the subtraction of Cleveland. But, people in Erie, I think they got a little taste of the Atlanta market again this holiday. I'd be interested when I attend their next meeting to see how those flights went. Delta was running some of them to Atlanta. I don't know if that was in lieu of Detroit or also in addition. But New York comes up as a possible location. So does Charlotte, and I think those would be good sites. And once again, there's always talk about bringing in maybe an independent carrier to, such as Allegiant, to take us to like Las Vegas or Orlando or some of these popular tourist sites. So, it was good to listen to them, and the airport seems to be functioning very well. They're not doing badly in any way. They seem to be keeping, they're keeping track of their expenses, and in general, I think the airport's being well managed, and hopefully, we all want to see more flights, and the runway was, was there because we needed a safety factor for our small jets which come in, and due to our weather situation, we definitely needed some margin on that runway. So that looks good, and I'm glad everything's going good with the airport there. And getting back to what some of the people are saying, I think. All right, there you go. We got a caller. I'm glad you called. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead, caller. Oop. Well, he called back if he got cut off. I think Go ahead, caller.
Hey, I forgot to ask you.
Yeah.
I did not get an opportunity.
Hope you got your TV on.
A TV.
Yeah, you got to cut it back because I hear an echo on there.
That must be my wife's echo. My TV is stationary.
Oh, it must be on the... Oh, go ahead.
But anyway, I didn't get a chance to view the last city council meeting, but I understand you had a few difficulties there on a permit being issued to demonstrate in front of the reinsurance. And I understand that you repealed the law. Could you bring me up on these?
Repeal the law? What do you mean?
The gun permit law? Or in the
yeah, well, here's what happened. On the first incident, you're talking about the Erie Insurance, right?
Yes.
During the Barnum and Bailey Circus, which is not unusual, we usually have groups of people that protest the mistreatment of, well, I don't know if it was PETA in this case, but there are groups that always complain about the use of animals in the circus and their possible mistreatment. And it's been my experience that they're very cordial. They generally just stand at the corners and they don't taunt you or anything. They just ask for your support,
Yeah, I understand.
And they do a good, they do the, whether you agree with them or not.
I understand where they're coming from.
Yeah, and I do too, and I've never had no problem with them. It seems like this group, and I saw them one day when I was heading home. I saw them, they were on each corner of, if you're familiar, like behind the Warner.
Yes, I am.
They were on all, like, four corners between 8th and 9th, I think it was.
Yeah, that's...
Right in front of the arena.
That's generally the area.
Yeah, right in front of the arena. And they were very, to me, they were just standing there. They weren't causing any trouble, They had their signs. And I seen people walking by them, so nobody was being, bothered. What came to council's attention that they were told that they could not protest in front of the Civic Center because the Civic Center had a permit that prevented anyone else from being there.
Huh. It's the first time I heard of that.
Well, what they had, and they misconstrued it, was they had a permission from the city to vend on city property.
On the public right-of-way.
Right, because during the circus, the ice shows, these companies want to sell their trinkets.
True.
So the city gives them permission, just like they do street vendors.
But they buy their permit.
Right. So what happened was there was a misunderstanding, and I'm not going to say.
Well, they're allowed to do their demonstrating, but on public land, not on private property.
Right. Well, they were told they couldn't be on the sidewalk, which is public. Okay. Yeah, and that's where the argument. So we had Councilman Mirsky looked into it, and he got it straightened out. Even I looked into it. I went up and talked to a couple of parties involved in what. I'm not sure who came out. It was said that Mr. Wells did, but then I was told he wasn't near there. It was some of his people that came out, and they instructed these protesters that they couldn't be there because they had an exclusive permit. Well, the permit is only for vending. It does not abrogate the First Amendment rights of any person,
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, now they couldn't sell things there. That would be, off the...
Yeah, that would be against it.
Yeah, so I think it's been straightened out. Mr. Mirsky told me that Mr. Wells and the authority now understand, there was a misunderstanding with some of their employees. So I would hope we don't have this problem again.
We probably will.
But, if they do, I will certainly get involved because...
Well, if they get the right permit to do their peaceful demonstration on the right-of-way.
They don't actually need a permit to demonstrate,
No.
You only need to demonstrate when you close off streets or something like that. The authority was, they had the right to sell there, but they had no right to tell the...
To stop.
Right, because they were not... The protesters weren't interfering with their sales. They weren't selling something next to them. They weren't, all they were doing was, from what I understand, and I've heard them, I used to work near there for many years, and I used to listen to them. All they're doing was saying, would you please consider us, would you like some literature or something like that,
We're down there selling hot dogs.
Yeah, that's it, but, yeah, and then the other thing now, you're talking about the gun permit, right?
Right, where where council repealed.
Yeah, we had no choice. That was by state law.
Can't supersede state law.
Right, so we had to take them off the books, and that's what we did.
I think your permit issuer got snowballed into that deal himself.
Yeah, well, that's the trouble. Cities are finding out now that the state has their own rules, and sometimes, you have laws on the books, but, it's much like, think of the marijuana laws that are now in conflict with the federal government.
True.
It's the same thing, and we were in conflict with state law on the gun, apparently on our gun ordinances, so now they have to be, taken off the book.
So, okay, you straightened me out pretty good there.
Yeah, but, it was a pretty smooth meeting. It was a rough meeting. I mean,
Well, council's got to pay more attention to the constituency.
Well, I try, John. I try to get out there and,
I see you. You're always involved, but you got these other people looking at their iPads and they're visiting. They should show a little restraint for an hour and a half, and give an undivided attention to the constituents.
I noticed one of our ex-mayors was talking about, maybe giving an incentive for people to retire.
Yes.
But the thing is, how many more cops can we lay off?
Well, the whole thing here, giving incentive for people to retire, you still have to pay the pension.
Yeah, but think of, John, how many more cops? We can't really get rid of cops.
No.
Did you see on TV today? It was 400 and some.
I saw that.
Yeah, I mean, are we really? I mean, when John, it pained me to.
400.
It pained me to vote for that tax increase.
Well.
But I mean, knowing that. It was layoffs. You can't lay off police and fire. We're too short right now.
Well, back in the 50s, the guys took care of it all. But people had jobs and they had families. They had parents that cared.
Yeah, we have to. We have to have a real coming to understanding meeting about the plight of the city.
It's true.
I mean, we have to look at, we get, our cops are being, every night they're overworked. We don't, I mean, it's time for the nonprofits in this world to step up.
Pay a safety tax.
Yeah, I mean, we can't, when you have 400 shots fired in a night, you have our firemen are being supported by volunteers. You got...
You can't be stretched all over the city. There's a lot of area.
No, our roads need fixing, and, we're in trouble. And these places are sitting there, and they think that, they don't have to pay taxes, but, we all have to pay something.
Time they did.
And I'm serious. I'm going to bring up, and it probably won't be voted on. I mean, I'm thinking about starting to charge the college kids. We got, I forget how many kids in this area now. They're out there,
Probably around 10,000.
Yeah, I mean...
With all the schools.
Every time they have a popcorn fire, we got to send a fire truck or...
That's right. But it's got to straighten out sooner or later.
But, I think we're in some tough times, and I think, we're going to have to sit down and really start looking at things.
That's true.
We have to take back our city, and I agree with that.
That's right. And you were thought that gentleman was talking about getting his bill,
water bill?
Bill or water bill shortly after he got one or the other. Mine was about a week and a half.
So how much time did you have between the two bills, John?
I'd say about less than 30 days.
Okay, that's about, well, at least we wanted something like that.
I alleviated mine.
What?
I overpaid.
Oh.
This way they got to keep me on the books and they can bill me, and I'd like seeing 0. My last garbage bill was $14.
My bill went down. I want to thank the guys that came out and helped me find my leak. So they did a nice job, and like person said, we have a lot of great employees.
Yes, you do.
And the trouble is they're overworked, and that's why
Well, I saw the patching truck out Sunday. Of course, I do understand they're working 12 and 12.
Yeah, they only got coal patch, so they're doing.
Utilizing them, those guys are running all over holy hell.
I spent yesterday watching the Browns lose with a good friend of mine who he's a street patcher.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I was giving him some streets and things, and so hopefully people got complaints, call me up and.
Well, a lot of times you got to take a coal pack out there wherever they're calling and give them the coal pack, and here's the
Yeah.
Do it yourself like they do in China. When it snows like crazy, everybody comes out with their brooms.
Well, you know, I actually did ask them one time if I could come down to the garage
Oh, yeah?
and get a bucket.
And what they say, come on down, we'll give it to you?
No, they actually came down with the truck then. They were embarrassed.
They shouldn't be embarrassed.
This was long before I was a councilman, though. I mean, you know, I just said, hey, do you mind if I come down and pick up a bucket since...
I have no problem. I call them up, and they're gentlemen, and they're well-behaved, and no sass or whatever, and they're...
I'll tell you what, I was out the other day when they were picking up garbage, and I decided then, John, it's a young man's game.
Yes.
As I helped them fling some of my garbage because I was bringing it out late. And I was thinking, these young kids are out there every night, colder than hell.
Right, they're
You know.
working their tails off, and they don't get all the benefits.
Nope, but that's the thing. If, you know, you start on the garbage department, and if you do a good job, you hope, you know, it leads to something else.
Get retained. You know, Penelec, the guys had to work 4 or 5 years before they're hired permanently.
Yeah, but they work hard. I tell you, I wouldn't want to walk my hill, walk all those east side hills.
Right, running up and down them hills and grabbing, and that's a lot of work.
That's why it's a young man's game. It's not for guys like me.
So then you go past that apartment down on 38th and Page and see the garbage blowing all over.
Yep. If they're depending on you and I, John, their garbage is going to be on the front lawn when they wake up in the morning.
I'll tell you, it's out there already. Today's Monday.
I'm going to take a ride by there then on the way home.
Okay, Buon Natale.
Hey, I was going to bring on a piece of baccalà to show everybody.
That's great.
My mother made it this week, so
Oh yeah, with the olives and the sauce.
everything. It was good.
Oh boy,
I thought about you, John.
you really?
Yep.
I thought about Dominic the donkey. His birthday's New Year's Eve.
Oh, there you go.
Dominic the donkey. Hey, Buon Natale, Happy New Year.
You too, John. We'll see you around. And I think we're getting close to the end of the show, so if you want to get your call in, we have a guest. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead, caller. You're on.
Hi, Kaz.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, good. I don't know if I just tuned in late. I wasn't sure if you were talking about the recent gun violence.
Yeah.
Is there any chance that the state police could make rounds on the weekends, maybe?
You know, I'm not sure if they. I think we'd have to ask them. You know, that'd be interesting because you know we have our own police force, unlike Harbor Creek and those places. But that'd be interesting whether the state police could help us. And of course, that would be whether the city police wanted them there too.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, I was amazed by the number today. It was 400 and some confirmed. These are only the confirmed ones. Incidents of gunfire. Now that's only the ones that are reported or the police, you know, get tipped on. That's an amazing figure.
That's just, you know.
And you know, when I watch people like Mrs. Arrington, and my heart goes out to her because you know she's right about it. You know, it's time we got to start claiming we got to start taking responsibility.
Yeah, definitely.
But you know, what do you do? I mean, you know, it's we have to start finding things to do. We have to put people back to work. Start finding some programs to you know, try to knock some of this stuff down a little bit.
But Kaz, I'm not as old as you. I'm 50.
Right.
Back in the day, when we had a grievance with another person, we would settle it with our fists.
That's true. You know, it's amazing. There was a young man on TV today said that.
They're cowards. They're scared to get beat up. They're just pulling out weapons and firing. I think they're cowards.
I think so, too. I mean, there was a young man on TV today, an inner city kid that said, you know, he said, what you should do is learn how to fight. He says, you know, and defend yourself. And that's the way it should be solved, not with guns. He said, because when you use guns, he said, you know, people get hurt and killed, you know. And he was right, but what happened to that, you know, how you and I would, if we had an argument, you go behind the schoolyard or in an alley some way, correct?
Yes, that's it.
You know, and then you took care of the matter. Or I can even remember teachers in high school actually giving kids boxing gloves and taking them down to the gym. You remember that one?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, think about if you did that today, though.
No, It's just getting out of control. Now, remember, it was probably 10 days ago, maybe 2 weeks. Supposedly, the black leaders in Erie were going to get together and they were going to do something.
Yeah.
I have not heard anything yet. They said there was a group of, 15, 20? I have no idea.
I haven't.
The church leaders, and we haven't heard word one from them.
We better get started pretty soon because it's a new year. And, as I'm reminded by different people in the community all the time, it's time to, stop talking and doing the walk now, We're really going to have to start finding out what's going on. And it should be no secret,
Yeah, it's getting frustrating, Kaz, and
yeah, I'd rather see the kids fighting on a football field or boxing, but, not shootings. And every day, I was in the hospital one day with my wife, and they were bringing a guy in with a gunshot wound,
Yeah.
It just, you can't have that every night.
Yeah, I live on the east side of Erie. I will not shop in the city limits. I mean, so they're just hurting their tax base. I will go out to Harbor Creek and shop. I'll go out to Mill Creek and shop.
And see, that's what's hurting us with long range. It's hurting everybody. It's hurting the businessmen. It's hurting the people that they would hire to work in the stores. Yep. It's a self-defeating, prophecy.
Even running into a country fair for gasoline. I will not do it. I will not do it. I don't want any confrontations with these people.
Well, we had, what was it yesterday? 2 people walking home, minding their own business, and they got assaulted and robbed of their, personal.
We talked about this before. They walk right in the middle of the street and they dare you to hit them. And that's just, it's insane.
Well, let's hope the new year brings something better, but I think we're going to have to start. We're going to have to start taking some proactive measures.
This is correct. This is correct. Hey, Kaz, I'll let you go, but good talk.
Yep. Hey, thanks. Thanks for calling, and everybody have a good, happy New Year and the rest of the Christmas holiday. And we'll take this last caller, and then we're getting the high sign that we have to go off the air. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead. You're on.
Yeah, good afternoon. Good Happy New Year to you.
You too.
I was watching the Pittsburgh game yesterday, and I kind of slipped over, and I heard Dave Belmondo say, about the violence in town, and city officials were going to finally speak out. And I thought, oh, well, okay, I'll watch the news, because I'm thinking the mayor or somebody's going to talk.
Yeah.
And here's this poor Mrs. Arrington again. She's the only one out there beating the drums.
Yes, she is, and I was surprised at the number of people that, there's a lot of mothers are a special breed, and there's a lot of mothers out there that, my mother for one, that thinks she's a great woman.
Well, I just have one question. Where's our mayor?
Mm-hmm.
He's not talking to his people. And where's that Bishop Block? Where's all the rest of these so-called community leaders?
I don't know. I've never met Mrs. Arrington formally, but I want to meet her because I think, she's like one woman. She's not the only one. I mean, you have the sisters and all that, but you have her out there speaking, and you can say whatever you want about how her son got killed and all that, but hey, you know what? She's facing a problem, and she doesn't want it to happen to other people.
She tries so hard, and she doesn't get any cooperation from her own community.
No, she's a one person voice, and when you watch 60 Minutes or you watch the evening news, and they always salute these people, it's always a small person that they say the ripple in the ocean begins with the first little ripple.
Yeah, well, I'd like to hear a ripple from our mayor once in a blue moon.
Well, I think Mrs. Arrington, she's an example to me of someone that she should really be on some kind of committee, because not just the committee she had. She needs to be listened to because she went through it. She knows how it can happen. We all could be in that same situation, but for the grace of God,
How's your meeting go with Brennan and trying to get the vets to relocate to Erie? How'd that go?
About who?
You were going to call that David Brennan, I think his name, Brennan?
Yeah.
About getting the veterans to relocate to Erie. How'd you
Brenneman. Yeah, I was going to wait till after the holiday because it's been kind of crazy, and I had my wife was in the hospital for a short time.
Oh, okay.
And I usually run into him, and I plan on sometime after the holiday when things quiet down.
Well, I know, but things are going to quiet down. We're going to lose our window of opportunity.
No, I'm going to call him. I got things after the first of the year that I have to get done, and one of them is on my schedule. I'm going to start getting active in the VA up there too. So.
Oh, good. Okay. Happy New Year to you.
Yep, and thank you for all your ideas, and I appreciate them. And maybe I'm going to try to get Mrs. Arrington on this show sometime.
Oh, that would be great.
I extended out to a lot of people, but I think she'd be an interesting person to talk to.
I do too, and I think she'd appreciate a city official, listening to her and giving her an opportunity.
Well, I like her work because, she's speaking from the heart.
Yeah, go ahead and invite her on. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I can't force her, but if she wants to, she's welcome.
I bet you should do it.
I hate listening to myself on here, so.
Yeah, why don't you invite that Bishop Brock, see what he says?
I could. Maybe, there's a lot of people who want to come on here. Maybe I'll open it up a little bit.
Okay.
I'm not afraid, they can come on here.
All right.
Hey, thank you and have a nice Christmas. The holidays and Christmas, what's left, and Happy New Year.
Okie dokie.
And with that, we have to go off the air, and I want to thank you, and we'll hopefully see you again next Monday. Hey, how you doing?
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching the Taxpayers Hotline Show on Erie Zone Government Access, Channel 9.